I think Ball State architecture is a very well-rounded program.
The biggest thing I noticed here is that we are collaborating all the time.
The program for me is really special because it really kind of makes everyone a family, makes everyone at home, and you really bring not just your own knowledge, but you start to bring everyone's knowledge into how you design.
The CAP program here at Ball State has developed over the last 55 years to increasingly include a range of disciplines in design and planning and construction. And those fields are integral to each other now. We started with just architecture, so we've grown over the years to include this wider array. We have always focused on the design process and creative problem solving, so that's still a strength of ours, but now increasingly we are looking at doing that kind of problem solving through an interdisciplinary team.
The College of Architecture and Planning has been involved in Indianapolis for some time. They have worked with the community and the city since the early 70s. And so with our long heritage of community-based projects and our dedication to working with the city and with community, we started as a remote location. So coming down for individual projects from the Muncie base.
The CAP Indy program was founded actually in the early 2000s. It is our urban laboratory, our dominant urban laboratory, and it's where our students come to be in the heart of the city and to delve into all of its richness and to work on real-world problems.
They like their design, but it's really clear. This one stands out. This one makes a lot of sense.
One of the goals of the CAP Indy Center is to actually establish a presence in downtown Indianapolis, someplace where you could actually have that direct engagement. You know, Ball State, and especially the Estopanol College of Architecture and Planning, has had decades of community engagement.
CAP Indy is an urban laboratory. It has the great opportunity to be connected to the city, to be connected with professions, and to live in this vibrant neighborhood and community.
It's something that has really transcended all the departments, but to actually have a robust presence here downtown just affords an amazing opportunity to directly contact and have engagement with a number of community partners and neighborhoods here in Indianapolis, and I hope will serve as a catalyst for some of those developmental goals in various parts of the city.
The reason this new location is so important is that we've been in probably 3 or 4 other settings across the downtown area in Indianapolis. And each time we've needed a different kind of fit. Most recently, we've needed to accommodate not only a new set of disciplines that are coming in, but we've needed to triple our size. So we are now at about 5,000 to 6,000 square feet, and we needed a new building to accommodate that.
We've got more space now than we've ever had. I think it shows the intention of where we want to go, that it was literally a storefront, then it was you're right there at the market, and each time we need more space. We keep moving into a bigger house, and I think that speaks to the growing presence.
From the first projects that we were doing in this college, they were the symbol of the future immersive learning. So that's the heart and soul of what we do, is to immerse our students in decision-making roles, to cause them to pull together the resources they need to solve the problems for the clients that they're working with. And we think we do it well. We're always looking to do it better, but our students love the immersive aspect of what we do.
The vehicular entry to the rear parking, and then the retail.
Or make it like a kind of art module, art festival.
So the project we're working on is renovating a current house within Englewood Village. And it's working with the community and the CDC to provide a reasonable and affordable approach.
what's the value in having a satellite from the college here in a dense urban environment like Indianapolis? I would say that with that density, well, you have to acknowledge that we're in a point in time where there's this unprecedented movement of populations around the world to the urban environment, that the cities are growing and they are rich and they're diverse and they have overlapping systems, and we can teach about this in the classroom all day long, but until you're actually immersed in that environment, you can't fully begin to comprehend what really is entailed in those environments. By being immersed and living in it, it's educational, and you are expanding your perspective and learning more than I or anyone else could ever teach in a classroom.
So we were given some options from the Inglewood Community Development Commission, and they had access to a few different houses in the neighborhood, and they're focused on so that they're acting as our client for the semester, and hopefully if our design is feasible, then they'll actually build it.
Basically, the point of what we're doing here is, instead of building on an empty lot, we are wanting to reduce the carbon footprint of our design by using an existing lot and seeing how much of it we can keep and how much of it we can reduce down to create some more environmentally positive concepts.
So my first reaction walking up to the house is it's very dilapidated, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done to it.
We're gonna have to replace that.
I'm very excited about it. It's a beautiful house.
We have already started to look at the different vernacular of the neighborhood, and so that's where we're taking some inspiration from. And we're just like, how are we going to integrate this so that it looks seamlessly but still like quirky new, which is what Joe quote unquote wanted. So I think that's going to be a little bit questionable, but I think we'll get to it in the end.
I think the urban way of designing in the community is a neighborhood area that we had to look at to determine how we can improve it in a small scale.
We have an established site. It's not a theoretical site. So we definitely need to go out, take pictures, interact with anybody who is on the site or who uses the site.
At most of our convening times, we're meeting with the community and we're meeting with people who will help. Last week we were at the Indiana Historical Society, and the week before that we were at one of the community meetings, and the week before that we got a tour of the KKMI, and we were talking to someone who works there, two someones who work there actually. And so it's been a lot more community input, which I think is so important for a project like this.
It's one of the great opportunities of having access to the local professional design talent here in Indianapolis is that what we learn day to day in the classroom is so important, critical, but they shouldn't miss out on opportunities when they have them to build social capital, to meet individuals, meet local professionals, to start to network and just build those relationships. And here's a number of opportunities now by being in Indianapolis, by bringing local professional adjuncts directly into the classroom who are directly tapped into the ebb and flow of the profession and what's happening locally. It's a great conduit for the students to get engaged in the community here.
Yeah, it's a very important component having faculty advisors with sewer professionals within the community, because they've been through school, and then they've also had countless years of expertise in the real world, dealing with community, dealing with the problems that come with projects. There's a lot that goes into a project, and having them beside us helps. It's almost hard to explain, because there's so many questions that pop up that we can just go to them. They're always here to offer advice. Like they've been through it already. We haven't. So just having them as a supervisor, but more just a mentor, really really is an amazing experience.
Basically, my role is to help assist the professor here, Overby, with the group of students and basically just provide kind of expertise from a practitioner standpoint, kind of look at projects kind of from the real world point of view and just try to help improve from the design standpoint, but then also just more maybe on a comprehensive type of look and kind of a holistic look on how a project goes together.
The job description is we're supposed to kind of come in here and critique and try to bolster their design a little bit. But to me, I just like to ask the bigger questions because I don't want to come in and design anything for them. It's their design. I can help critique, but critique can go a lot of different ways, right? It could be constructive, it could help somebody, or it could really just irritate them. So, like, what is your big idea? What are you trying to portray? And is your design portraying the big idea? And if you're not supporting the big idea, then you failed. When I first started here a couple of weeks ago, none of them could do that for me. They would start talking about, well, I'm putting a room here and this faces the street. And I'm like, no. Like, what's the big idea?
This to me doesn't represent the site well enough, and its proximity, like how you are still addressing.
I think I tend to describe some of what we do as professionals as holding up a mirror to our clients and sort of adjusting and polishing and reflecting their particular and unique needs back to them so that we can get a validation that we're doing the right thing.
Architects are such integral parts. We design so much and we can help people so much. And I think by being good citizens in the community, then future architects can really learn how to really engage that part of the community and encourage growth and encourage good growth and good design, and think about social aspects as well.
As a designer, we design spaces for humans, for people, and I think that can get really lost sometimes.
Design is a two-way street. You can't just impose a solution on a community without them impacting you in a way. You can't just design out of a void.
Learn to design places that people will care about, that they're not going to want to just run away from or skim a profit from.
I think, having an opportunity for the students to walk several blocks away and be in a neighborhood where there are real and pressing needs that design, architecture, and planning can solve, I think are absolutely valid. And I applaud CAP for making this presence here and working with the community like they are.
Important. You can see there's a really close setback on this side of the street, but over here it's a different language. It's like a 30-foot setback as opposed to a 15-foot.
So in the beginning, it was more of just a rigid renovation, and there wasn't much design to it. Then there was a second half to where we actually brought designed elements, then seeing how that affected the budget and how it worked.
Expectations, I would say at the beginning, you feel like you're going to really be able to explore a lot of options and really have that forefront time. But then it's a real project, just like real, world scenario. So the expectations kind of change, and you have to really buckle down and just move forward.
It takes a certain, drive, to be invested in the projects, and I think that really pushes the program forward.
The challenges will just be time management, knowing how to work with various hiccups that will inevitably come with doing something at this short of a time frame. But I love a challenge.
We hope that one of our major outcomes is that students take a range of experiences forward with them into their future lives, their professional lives and their personal lives, that allow them to put into play all of the skill sets that we teach them, but also a sensitivity to the needs of other people in society. So we blend the kind of scientific side of our fields along with what people call the soft skills, or understanding how to communicate and connect and resolve difficult issues. And so those are things that we hope that every student that leaves here can take with them.
I learned so much more than about like sustainability than I thought I would. Dan, our professor, like specified in the beginning that this would be a project where we would be getting down into very like smallest details, and you know, you like have some kind of idea of what that looks like, but it was amazing how much we were actually, I think, all able to learn.
Extracting some of the vocabulary from the existing bollards and extending that kind of idea all the way to College Avenue gives it a pretty...
I feel really confident about what we came up with. We ended up focusing a lot on how we could not just transform this particular house, but how we could come up with a design framework that could apply to all kinds of neighborhoods around the city and the Midwest. And so what I think was most powerful about our project was the opportunities it brought up in our part of the country to transform abandoned houses.
I would really recommend any students who have the opportunity to work in Indianapolis in that studio, they should definitely take it. Just being in a city like Indianapolis while studying architecture, it just elevated the intensity of the project, and I think the energy of the city really empowered us to create a project that was realistic and innovative and really feasible for the neighborhood that we were working in.
Here's the secret about architecture. It's not really about the buildings, it's about the people. We can draw all day long, but if you don't have the people factor, you don't have anything.